Hello, in this video I want to go through all of the cards that I would include if I was going to build a Silverquill, the Disputant Commander deck. For 2, a white and a black, this is a 4/4 Elder Dragon with Fly and Vigilance. It gives each instant and sorcery spell you cast casualty 1. So as you cast that spell, you may sacrifice a creature with power 1 or greater. When you do, copy the spell, and you may choose new targets for the copy. We're going to copy removal spells, tutors, and giant X spells so we can have twice the amount of X with only half of that cost. Afterlife Insurance is 1, a white and a black for an instant. Creatures you control gain Afterlife 1 until end of turn, draw a card. Now, this is a great card to copy in response to a board wipe. It's my main thought here. So you have 4 creatures in play. Your opponents are going to board wipe. You're not playing blue. You're probably not going to counter it. Giving, you get twice Afterlife 1 and you get to draw 2 cards is nice. Anguished Unmaking. Exile target non-land permanent. You lose through life. Sacrifice a 1/1. We have plenty of ways to make a 1/1. Bitter Bloom Bear, Beacon of Remembrance. All cards we're going to get to. This is exile 2 things, you lose 6 life. Arcane Signet, great to ramp in our non-green color. We have plenty of 1/1s laying around, and we're trying to cast big X spells. Turn all of your 1/1s into big X spells. But leave 1 behind so you can casualty 1. It's also important that on the turn you're trying to win, you can sacrifice Silverquill to this casualty 1 ability. So you can go all out. You can, exsanguinate for 20, sacrifice Silverquill, now it's 40. Bastion of Remembrance. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses a life and you gain a life. You're making a lot of tokens. The next 4, this and the next 3 cards I'm looking at in the presentation, all make tokens. So having your tokens and inching away your opponent's life is great. Bitter Bloom Bear and Bitter Blossom, these both say at the beginning of your upkeep, you lose a life and you make a 1/1. The extra benefit of Bitter Bloom Bear is that you can sacrifice it to Silverquill's Casualty 1 ability, but Bitter Blossom is harder to get rid of. Black Market Connections is 2 and a black for an enchantment. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, choose 1 or more. Create a treasure, you lose a life. Ramp, fantastic. Draw a card, you lose 2 life. Card advantage, make a 3/2 with Changeling, you lose 3 life. Not a fantastic way to trigger your casualty, but if push comes to shove and you need to make it happen, you can do that. Blood Artist, whenever this or another creature dies, target player loses a life and you gain a life. I don't love this is just target player and not all of your opponents. I also don't love that this doesn't have at least 1 power to sacrifice to Silverquill, but it's just a fantastic card. Blot Out the Sky is X, white, and a black. The first X spell here. Create X tap 2/1 and white. 2/1, white, and black, including creature tokens with flying. If X is 6 or more, destroy all non-creature, non-land permanents. So, 2 things I want to say here. A, let's say we put 5 into this. Well, actually, we want to make it 6. Let's put 6 into it. It's 8 mana. Whenever you use casualty, you don't have to repay the X, nor is that X automatically 0. The spell, as you cast a spell, you may sacrifice a creature greater 1 power. When you do copy the spell, you may choose new targets for the copy. If it said you had to cast the copy, but you're just copying it. So think about the interface on Arena. Blood Out the Sky comes on and makes a copy. Right? You're not casting it, you're just making a copy. 1 resolves, and then the original 1 resolves. The copy resolves, and the original 1 resolves. So you would get 6 2/1s and destroy everything, and then get 6 more 2/1s, and then destroy all non-creature, non-land permanents. That Arena trick, this is one trick that I really like. Whenever I'm thinking, how is this interaction going to play out? I think, okay, what is Arena going to show me? Because the developers have done a good job with all of that stuff. It's like, making a choice, rearranging my library, all those things. Think about how would Arena show you, and you're going to be golden. Breach the Multiverse is 5 black sorcery. Each player mills 10 cards. For each player, choose a creature or planeswalker card in that player's graveyard. Put those cards onto the battlefield under your control. Then each creature you control becomes a Phyrexia in addition to its other types. Casualty in this is insane. It's 7 mana. Each player mills 20, and then you choose 8. You get 8 creatures into play for 7 mana and 1 of your 1/1s. Freaking fantastic. Call the Coppercoats is 2 and a white for an instant. It has Strive. This spell costs 1 and a white more to cast for each target beyond the first. Choose any number of target opponents. Create X 1/1 white human soldier creature tokens where X is a number of creatures you control. So you don't have to worry about paying the X the second time or choosing The decision of how many X is determined by the thirst, and you copy it. You sacrifice a 1/1 and get a ton more. Charismatic Conquer. Whenever an artifact or creature enters the battlefield untapped and under an opponent's control, they may tap that permanent. If they don't, you create a 1/1 white vampire creature token with lifelink. Fantastic card to slow down your opponents, make them listen to Silverquill's lecture, and then if they decide not to do that, you get a 1/1. Corrupted Conviction is 1 black for an instant, sack a creature, draw 2 cards. You only have to pay the additional cost the one time, because you're not casting it the second time, you're just copying it. So it's 1 black, sacrifice 2 creatures, draw 4 cards. Because you're sacrificing a creature to cast it to 1. Not because you have to repay the cost. Cruel Celebrant, whenever it or another creature or planeswalker you control dies, each opponent loses a life and you gain a life. Culling the Weak, 1 black, mana source, sack a creature, add black to your mana pool. Casualty 1, so sacrifice 2 creatures, you add 8 black mana to your mana pool. Damn is black, destroy target creature. A creature destroyed this way can't be regenerated. Or you can Overlord for 2 white and a white, and then it destroys all creatures, or each creature. And then you pronounce the damn of 2 black, damn, and then when you overload it, you have to say, damn! Dark Ritual is 1 black to add 3 black, so you can get a turn 2 Silverquill in play, which is nice. You can also pay 1 black, sacrifice a 1/1, and get 6 black mana. This and Culling the Weak, these are fantastic ways to just jam a bunch into your X. Copying this and then sacrificing 1/1 to copy the next X spell is fantastic. Deadly Dispute sacrifices an artifact or a creature, draw 2 cards, make a treasure. You can sacrifice another thing to draw 4 cards and make 2 treasures if you wanted. But you just have a lot of sacrifice fodder, so playing all of these cards is barely an inconvenience. Deadly Relic, if you control your commander, you may cast a spell at paying its mana cost. Casualty 1, it's 0 mana, sacrifice a creature, exile 2 creatures, and instant speed. Debt to Deathless is X, white, black for a sorcery. Each opponent loses 2 times X life. You gain life equal to the life lost this way. Now we're getting into winning the game territory. If you can build up a ton of mana, and you put, let's just say you put 5 X into this. Each opponent loses 10, and you gain 30. Casualty 1 is now each opponent loses 20, and you gain 60. That's going to majorly swing the game. I also want to say that these kinds of cards, like Death to the Deathless, and we're going to get to more later, these X spells that make opponents lose life, even if you can't kill all of your opponents, you have ways, you have a bunch of 1/1s you can attack them with. They won't be able to block all of them. That's going to get into incremental damage. It's probably going to win you the game in the late to finish the game. Silverquill is also hitting for 4. So if they're at 24 and you Death to the Deathless for 20 and they have 4, they don't have a flying blocker, you can kill them. That is why that incremental damage at the beginning of the game, don't miss your attacks. If you have a free attack, even if it's a 1/1, knock them down 1 life. This is a game that's going to be a little grindy, and you're going to do massive things, but you're going to want to do big things to a smaller life total. Demonic Tutor, search for a card. Casualty 1, sacrifice something, search for 2 cards. If you stick any 2-card combos in here, you can just go get both cards. Despark, white and a black for an instant, exile target permanent with mana value 4 or greater. You get to do that twice. Elis Ilkor, Sadistic Pilgrim, is white and a black for a 2/2 with Death Touch. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. Whenever another creature you control dies, each opponent loses a life. Just another thing you can sacrifice, and it's also good with all of your random sacrifice things. Elspeth, Storm, Slayer is 3, a white and a white. Legendary Planeswalker Elspeth for 5. It is if 1 or more tokens to be created under your control, twice that many are created instead. You can +1 to make 2 soldiers, 0 to put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control and give them flying, -3 to strike target creature and opponent control with mana value 3 or greater. You have plenty of ways to make tokens, so doubling up on those is great. Enduring Innocence draws you a card whenever 1 or more creatures you control with power 2 or less enter. You can also sacrifice it to the Casualty 1 ability of our commander, and it comes back as an enchantment and keeps generating you that card advantage. Esper Sentinel. Whenever an opponent casts their first non-creature spell, it's an instant card. I don't really need to read it, but it also has just a touch more ability here because you can casualty it. Exsanguinate. X, black for a sorcery. Each opponent loses X life. You gain life equal to the life lost this way. Jam 8 into this. Each opponent is going to lose 8. Sacrifice 1, you 1/1. Each opponent loses 16. Huge life swings. I think that I'm not 100% sure confident if I included them in the list, But I think that anything that's like, oh, whenever you gain life, each opponent loses that life, could be good here, actually, with the amount of like these big X spells we're trying to play and win off of. And these are the 2-year cards we're going to go get. Follower Stone ramps you. The chances of your opponent's one of the 3 people you're playing against not playing white or black is just a 2-mana spell that adds your colors. Finale of Glory is X white white. Create X 2/2 white soldier creature tokens. If X is 10 or more, also create X 4/4s. So if X is 10 white white and you sacrifice 1, you're making 20 2/2s and 20 4/4s. Grand Crescendo is X white white. Create X 1/1 green white citizen creature tokens. Creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. At the floor, it's white white. Creatures you control gain indestructible, and you can pump as much into X as you want. You can just copy it too. Ink Shield 3 white black instant. Prevent all combat damage you dealt you this turn. For each 1 damage defended this way, create a 2/1. Having yourself 2 of these is great. You're going to get twice the amount of 2/1s, which is going to let you kill multiple of your opponents. Jadar Ghoul Caller of Nephalia. 1 and a black for a 1/1 legendary creature human wizard. At the beginning of your end step, if you control no creatures with Decayed, create a 2/2 zombie token with Decayed. Early game, this can poop out little zombies with Decayed. You're not going to attack with them, but you can use them for casualty. Campbell Profiteering Mayor is 1 a white and a black for a 2/4. Whenever 1 or more tokens enter the battlefield under your opponent's control, for each of them, create a tapped token that's a copy of it. This ability triggers only once each turn. Whenever 1 or more tokens enter the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses a life and you gain a life. You're doing a lot of cool token stuff. Lightning Greaves can protect our commander, but also give it haste to start hitting with 4, and it's a good blocker. Lingering Souls, get a 2/2. You can also sacrifice 1 to get an extra 1. Because you have 2, you have a 1 in play, you're going to make 2. Sacrifice the 1 you have in play, you're going to get 4. So you win from 1 to 4, so you got 3. And then Flashback. Lotho Corrupt Sheriff is white black for a 2/1. Whenever a player casts their second spell each turn, you lose a life and create a treasure. Fantastic card. Mirkwood Bats. All these cards ramp you into your big X spells. Mirkwood Bats is 3 and a black. Whenever you create or sacrifice a token, each opponent loses a life. Monastery Mentor. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, make a 1/1 monk with prowess. Moogle's Valor is 3 white white. For each creature you control, create a 1/2 Moogle. Then creatures you control gain indestructible. Sacrifice a 1/1. Get yourself a ton of these. Morbid Opportunist is 2 and a black for a 1/3. Whenever 1 or more creatures die, draw a card. This can be creatures you sacrifice, or just 2 creatures your opponents have to attack each other. They die and you draw a card. Knight's Whisper, draw 2, lose 2. Great card to casualty in the early game. Ophiomancer is 2 and a black for a 2/2. At the beginning of each upkeep, if you control no snakes, create a 1/1 black snake creature token with Death Touch. Not my favorite art of this card. I just prefer the other one. Orzhov Signet, good to ramp. Path to Exile, let's start blasting things. You could also ramp yourself with this. Exile 1 of your tokens and get yourself a basic land card. Sacrifice Exile. So really it's 1 white, exile 2 of your 1/1s, and sacrifice 1 to casualty. Sacrifice 3 creatures, pay a white, put 2 basic land cards into play tapped. I don't hate it. Especially when you're trying to ramp into your huge spells. Phyrexian Tower, sack a creature, add black, lets you get your commander out of turn sooner, lets you get all your other cool stuff out of turn sooner, has tons of synergy with everything you're sacrificing. Pitiless Plunder, now this is the start to the combos if you want to make one. Whenever another creature you control dies, create a treasure token. Sacrificing your 1/1s to things gives you treasure to cast huge X spells. Reanimate, puts a creature card from a graveyard on the battlefield under your control, you lose life equal to its mana value. Get 2 things. Secure the Wastes, just dump a bunch of warriors into play. And then if you have cards that are like, oh, whenever a token enters, each opponent loses a life, put 6 into play with this, double it, put 12 into play. Now each player takes 12. Sedgemoor Witch, whenever you cast or copy, ding, 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 an instant or sorcery spell, make a 1/1 black and green pest creature token with when this creature dies, you gain a life. Sign in Blood, draw 2, lose 2, great to casualty in the early game. Skrell's Hive gives you a 1/1 every turn. And then if you get up to 3 poison counters, you can give them lifelink. But really, it's like a Bitter Blossom. It just poops out a little creature for you to casualty. Skull Clamp lets you turn all of your, crappy 1/1s into draw 2. Smothering Tithe, don't really need to read it. Soul Ring, don't really need to read it. Ceram's Expertise, it's 4 mana, create 3 1/1s. Sacrifice a 1/1, you get 6, and you get to cast 2 spells with 3 or less from your hand for free. Pretty good. Swords to Plowshares, exile target creature, its controller gains life equal to its power. Get a flying blocker out of the way and just hit it for 4. Siphon Mind. Each other player discards a card. You draw a card for each discard. Discard it this way. Sacrifice a creature. Now each player is discarding 2, and you're drawing 6. Pretty good. Talisman of Hierarchy. We got a ramp. Torment of Hailfire. Now this is another card that's going to end the game. Sacrifice a 1/1, and it's doubled up. Fantastic. Twinning Staff is 3 mana. If you would copy a spell 1 or more times, instead copy it that many times plus additional time. Fantastic. Now you're not just paying sacrifice of one creature made copy. Now you're making 2 more copies. And then if you get up to 7 mana, you can copy things. Very good. Village Rites, sacrifice 2 creatures, draw 4. Voice of Victory is 1 and a white for a 1/3. Mobilize 2 gives you 2 1/1s you can sacrifice to stuffs. Also has creatures entering and leaving. Welcoming Vampire, whenever 1 or more creatures you control enter. If they have power 2 or less, you draw a card. Will of the Mardu is 2 and a white. Choose 1. If you control your commander as you cast a spell, you may choose both. Create a number of 1/1 red warrior creature tokens equal to the number of creatures target player controls. Or this spell deals damage to target creature equal to the number of creatures you control. Why not copy it? And then Zulaport Cutthroat. You could casualty it, or it could take advantage of all your casualties. Those are all the cards that I would include if I was going to build a Silverquill the Disputant. I think that the deck could benefit from effects of like when you gain life, each opponent loses life, make them lose life faster. I also think that the deck could benefit from a Phyrexian Arena. The truth of the matter is, if you're going to cast big X spells, you only need 1 creature around. They can just be Silverquill to copy it. So you can just sacrifice all your 1/1s, give yourself a bunch of mana. We're already playing Ashnod's Altar. Do a Phyrexian Altar is another way in case you don't have the Ashnod's Altar in play, and cast your huge X spell even faster. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like. Let me know in the comments if you're going to build Silverquill, what cards you would include. If you want to say in my future videos, my YouTube members get that say. Consider joining the program down below. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and may your top decks be ever in your favor.